This is Kings and Conquerors, an Age of Empires 2 podcast by Mumm and Pennenbuisje.
Hello, everybody, to the second episode of the Kings and Conquerors podcast, in which we will discuss the upcoming Red Bull Wololo Legacy Tournament. But this is not your average tournament. No. Red Bull Wololo has a storied history and a rich prize pool. And in today's podcast, we'll be discussing every detail of it. We'll start by explaining you the game mode, Empire Wars, and the settings of the tournament, followed up by taking a closer look at the different maps the pros will be playing on. Then we'll move on to the pros themselves. Who are they? Who has the best chances of qualifying or making it into the playoffs? And who is our favorite? So please then, join us into the wonderful world of professional Age of Empires. We hope you will be entertained.
Welcome everybody to the second episode of the Kings and Conquerors podcast, a podcast where you listeners are the kings and we conquer different topics. My name is Pennenbuisje, or Pen for short, and this is my co-host Mumm. I'm not so sure, do you prefer if I call you Curse or if I call you Mumm?
Curse is fine.
Curse is fine? Alright.
Yes.
Mumm might be a bit confusing.
A bit strange, a bit
Yeah.
weird. One day I will tell the story about this strange name. Don't worry.
Alright.
Let's do this, Pen.
So, in the previous episode, we discussed the big patch update from last month, and we had a special focus on the balance changes that were made. And so, feel free to check that out if you haven't already. We also want to thank all the people who provided us with feedback, as we are both new to making the podcast, and it is much appreciated and really helps us forward. It is your feedback that gives us the input and the drive we need, that gets us craving to continue with this project. With that in mind, we would like to dedicate this particular episode to Gonzo for his warm-hearted message. Today, we will discuss the magical, majestic, magnificent and monstrous Red Bull Wololo Legacy 2022 tournament for Age of Empires 2. But maybe some of you have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about, so Kirst, maybe you can shed some light on this for our listeners?
Yes, I think I can. Thank you, Pen, for that beautiful introduction.
You're welcome.
So, Red Bull Wololo Legacy 2022 is an Age of Empires tournament hosted in Heidelberg. It's a LAN event, meaning people are physically there and are playing over local network. It starts 21st of October and ends 29th. And as you can imagine, it's hosted by Red Bull, the famous energy drink company. We are not sponsored, by the way, just so you know. The tournament is administrated by Krasini and Lord Patito. And I think you can reasonably make the argument it's the biggest event of 2022. Also the biggest prize pool ever for Age of Empires 2 at $200,000. And it's actually not even, the tournament is bigger than just Age of Empires 2. There's also an Age of Empires 4 and even an Age of Empires 1 part, which we will discuss probably more towards the end of the episode quickly. But it is not your average game of Age of Empires. We are not talking standard map, starting with your 3 villagers in Dark Age. We are playing Empire Wars. Now, most of you will probably already know what Empire Wars is, but for those of you who don't, Pen, could you quickly describe the game mode?
So basically, Empire Wars is really interesting for all those of you who hate watching the same old boring Dark Ages all time. Every game, it starts the same. In Empire Wars, you start in the Feudal Age. You have 28 villagers and a scout, and Loom is already researched. You also have your blacksmith and barracks available. So you can immediately go towards your military production, there's also gathering points for all resources already there. So you can also immediately go for your economy upgrades. So basically, just start with a balanced economy in the feudal age, which is focused to quickly expanding your empire.
Oh, objection. Balanced economy, if when I play this game or I see people play this game, the first thing you do is retask like a good percentage of your villagers. So how balanced is it?
You don't need a balanced economy. If you want to go scout, you want to gather food. If you want to get, you know what I mean? It's like, it's balanced. You get some on gold, some on food, some on wood. You have like, it's right in the middle of it. So the retasking you have to do is not really that big. And it's also, because they're already working, it's not like if you would start with 28 villagers and you have to task all of them manually, that would also be hell, right? So it's just like a basic village, very neutral. It could be for a fast castle, it could be for a scout rush, for men-at-arms, for archers, like anything is open. It's like, it's ready to go when you start a game. And you can immediately go for that stable or that archery range. So that's why you get those fast-paced games. The aggression potential is really, really there. Also, walling is less viable. Well, it's still viable and necessary, but when you wall in Dark Age, usually, unless you get a drush or anything, it's much safer.
You can't get drushed, right, in Empire Wars? You literally cannot get drushed because it's a dark age rush.
No, because there's no Dark Age. Yeah, the militia rush would be not the best strategy, but I don't want to rule out anything. Maybe we will see it in the Wololo, but I don't think we will see militia.
No. I mean, that would be quite interesting if we see some. Can you? I don't know if you even can build militia in Empire Wars.
But you can, yeah.
You have to do the upgrade for man-at-arms, or not?
You could make like 2 or 3 militia and do the upgrades as you are moving forward to the enemy base, I think. But normally you don't make militia. It's not worth it. You go for scouts or archers normally in a 1v1.
You lose the advantage of their speed, right? Yeah.
Last year, I remember, like if you're Bulgarians, they immediately get the upgrades. It was done like making a man-at-arm just because you can click it immediately. You have a military unit instantly. Also for like the Mesosifs, they can go for the Eagles immediately. They aren't the strongest feudal age units, but just the fact that you can click them immediately is good to get something on the field as fast as possible. Or like a spearman is often produced also immediately for scouting and just awareness.
I think we should tell our listeners, the ones that are not very familiar with Empire Wars. Indeed, as you said, it's often a game of scouts and archers, right?
Yeah, mostly.
If you go scouts, you're gonna take those villagers that are mining gold at the start. You're gonna immediately task those to either build stables or houses or whatever, and then get your food eco going. Get those scouts out and start harassing. And yeah, archers is of course the opposite. You're gonna want to have a lot more on gold, and you want to have steady production.
Yeah.
Now, we are really focusing on the feudal age aspect because, of course, that's a starting age. But does it mean that games do not go to the imperial age, or what do you think?
I think they do, but it's just that there's a bigger chance in Empire Wars to get a snowball going, and the snowball starts in feudal age. So the player who has the early engagements, and especially on the top level, the one who wins the earliest engagements has army on the field. Has map awareness, map control, can kill some villagers maybe.
Okay.
Like the straight walling up fast castling is something you rarely see on Empire Wars. You could, especially on some close maps, but usually both players are fighting in feudal age, and sometimes you can see that whoever starts winning the game, unless there's like a comeback or a strategic unexpected move or like a good mangonel micro, like unless the player behind gets some things really going for him, it's hard to just if you're still on the same pace, you will probably lose the game, I think, in the Empire Wars.
Now, I think that gives a really good idea of what the game mode is about, but of course we still are playing with the same kind of civilizations. The interesting thing, if you look at the history, so Red Bull Wololo, this organizer, is the one that really pushed forward, I think, maybe even invented. I don't know how that actually happened, but
I think it was based on a concept of Nilly.
Really?
That Nilly thought out a concept like for a different game, but I'm not sure if it's the Empire Wars concept before, but he was also involved in like the conversations with Red Bull.
Okay. They created this game mode, and when they did, there were some of the civs that, of course, start with an early game bonus. So everybody knows the Mayans start with a bit more gold. Chinese have those extra villagers. So in the very first tournament, they didn't really know, I think, how to handle that. So I think they didn't want to have people always choosing these civs that have a early game bonus. So they banned them, right? That was, I think, in the very first Red Bull Wololo tournament. You couldn't choose Chinese, I guess. And that actually changed. They actually kind of programmed it so they didn't have their bonus. So I think Mayans, Incas, Chinese, they didn't start with...
Incas have the extra llama, Mayans have the... Like, whatever Dark Age bonuses were negated.
Yeah, exactly. But then I guess they reversed that decision in a recent update that we discussed last week, right?
Yeah.
So that completely changed the meta, I guess, in some ways. Because now those civs, I mean, they might have a big advantage, right?
Yeah. It's actually... the way it is now, when you start, you get whatever Dark Age bonus there was. So you talk about the extra villagers, but there's also Civ who get extra resources, like Lithuanians, which also is massive. And then there's also Civs who get some things when they advance in age. It's like you start in Dark Age, and like a millisecond later, you're in Feudal Age. So you have whatever bonus you might get, you get. So it's like Ethiopians, they get 100 extra food and gold, which is also a big boost to your early economy. And I think compared to the previous tournaments, we will have a very interesting Civ draft. I don't know what to expect, but I'm quite curious as to how these professional players view each civilization. I don't know if, like Chinese, it's massive, the extra villagers, but is it as strong as it is in RM when you already have 28 villagers? Like a village of 5? It might be, but less, I think. Maybe.
Yeah, it might be less percentage-wise, indeed. Yeah. I mean, it would be not the same, but still, in high-level play.
Yeah, a villager is massive, yeah.
But of course, Empire Wars, the aggressive nature of the game mode makes it much more painful to not have those early resources, right?
Yeah, I think just some civs who don't get either Dark Age bonus or advancement bonus will really have a rougher start. Some of them, I think. I'm thinking like humans, they have the cheaper production building. Like, okay, you don't need an actual bonus, but like a generic civ will really fall behind, I think, especially on this level. So yeah, I'm quite curious.
Now, just to make sure I got this correctly, because I checked the updates. So what happened was Chinese and Mayans and all these civs had their bonus in the original Red Bull Wololo. They banned the strongest ones, I think Chinese, from being chosen, but the other ones were, I think, high tier options. Then in update 36906, that happened that happened in the April 2020.
Yeah, so that's right after the first one, I think.
Yeah. Basically, they changed it so that they didn't get their bonuses anymore. So then you could take the Chinese Mayans, but they were just without these bonuses. And that was the thing that recently got changed, I guess.
I'm not sure, was it always like this? The advancement bonus, I think so, right? That was never removed?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, it was always there. Okay.
So yeah, we'll see if Chinese and Mayans and all these civs become big players or not. I'm not sure.
Chinese is still massive, 5 villagers, and then Mayans maybe is not as big as you would think. Persians.
Yeah, Mayans are not as strong as they used to be. I remember in the old days, Mayans were just the best thing to ever play. Everybody was always on their Mayans. Now I feel they're beatable and they're not as overpowering.
I think Vikings were, in my memory, like for the later Wololos, Vikings were like the most banned or picked civ for a long time.
Yep.
And maybe not on the 5. On 5 we had like the new civilization. It was like a new meta back then. But I think for the longest Red Bull Wololo tournaments, it was like Vikings, which was either most banned or most picked.
Yes, indeed. The eco bonus with that free hand card and free, what's the other one? Free
wheelbarrow. Yeah.
Wheelbarrow is so good.
Instantly.
But the nerf to their archers kind of hurts them. No, I find you do feel the difference in the Vikings. They're still good,
But that's Castle Age, right? So if you can still go archers, you don't get the thumb ring. But we discussed it previous episode. Like it's impossible to get crossbow, thumb ring, and bodkin. By then, is it? Yeah, all at the same time.
Let's put a pin on that because I definitely want to come back to that at some point.
Okay.
We'll see.
Yeah.
So, moving on from the game mode. Of course, this is a tournament played with specific settings. So it is a 1v1 tournament, no team games, I'm afraid. Conquest, of course. Interestingly enough, though, they put a time limit on the matches. So I don't think maybe that's standard. I'm not sure. For me, it's something.
I think that's pretty unique.
Yeah, it's something unique, right? I also thought so. I think it's to make the games, end. Because everybody remembers those MBL 20, how many hours does he play against Hera sometimes? 4 hours or more?
And also, I think it's either encouragement for players to try and make a move to break the stalemate and take the risk of it. And also, if there's moves where you can't finish off your opponent, like the island games where you have Portuguese with Vitorias, that's something you will not see on the Wololo games. Like those really long games where one player is really turtling and the other one is trying to break him because they know in the long run the turtle will have more resources or something.
Yeah. But we might have to mention what it actually means, the time limit. So that means that score becomes important. So it's the one that has the highest score, and score is affected by exploration, resources that you have in your bank, how many
KD
units you killed, indeed, all this kind of things. Now, do you have any idea how long the time limit is?
A bit over an hour, I thought it was previously. Do you know exactly what it is now?
900 years.
900 years. And they're playing on 1.7 speed?
No, I did the calculation. I actually used the 200 years as a wonder victory, and that is 16 minutes and 40 seconds. So I used my little calculator. It's 1 hour and 15 minutes.
Okay.
That's the limit.
And considering they start in feudal age with a basic economy of 28 villagers, I think 1 hour and 15 minutes is actually quite a long time for the game. I think it's enough.
Wow, you'd be surprised. I mean, I've been watching Hera, I think, practice a lot, and I do notice a lot of those games do end up taking a while. Like, it's surprising, actually. So, I think it's a good thing they have this limit.
I think they did it because Red Bull wanted those fast-paced games, which is also a reason why they picked Empire Wars.
For me, it's amazing, to think that this tournament has impacted the main game. Like you can choose Empire Wars as a competitive format now. That's incredible how they impacted it.
Yeah, I think Empire Wars was already included in the game, but more like a mini game thing or for the lobbies.
Right, you're right.
And then about a year ago, they removed the deathmatch ranked system and replaced it with an Empire Wars ranked system. And I think this is mostly because the Red Bull tournaments were so big at the time.
And five players were very upset, and thousands of players were silently happy, I think. Anyway, before we move on, you wanted to say something about the colors. Now, why? I mean, I was looking at the rules of the Legacy tournament, and I could find that it was yellow and
blue.
Yeah, it was yellow and blue. That's what I saw in the rules.
Yeah. So normally, when you have colors, usually it's blue and red. Like the one player is blue, the other one is red. And in Red Bull, previously they had like a different system. They had yellow and red, which were like the Red Bull colors. So all previous tournaments, it was always red and yellow. And now they switched it, and I think it's for visibility. So now it's blue and yellow. But yellow, I think, is a difficult color to see. So on certain maps, they will switch it, as I understood it. Like, for visibility.
Oh, really? When there's a lot of water or something.
Like yellow, I think more like desert maps or something. Is yellow not harder to see?
Yeah, they're camouflaged, the hills.
Yeah, which can be, I think has to be avoided.
Wait, just a completely random thought, but
Mm-hmm.
is there some game mod where you can have your villagers running around in camo? like they're completely like wearing camo gear. Maybe even like chameleon gear, so it changes the colors.
Yeah, but you should see them on the minimap, I think.
Yes.
But you mean just like the different skins?
Yeah, like a skin where they're wearing camo gear, like completely. Like when they don't move, they become a forage bush. They're just like, oh, that's just a forage bush, and it's like, no, or a tree. They become a tree.
That would be pretty good for like community games or whatever to have like these random mods. Like
imagine like in a Black Forest type game where you sneak a villain and just take one of the trees in the forest. You could do like a Spanish sneak attack, supremacy vills, like a whole forest comes alive. Oh my god. Yeah, it's just a random thought somehow.
Just on the spot. All right.
So talking about Black Forest, is that one of the maps the people will be playing on?
No, thankfully not. It's as we said about the game modes and the time limit. Red Bull really brings some fast-paced games, or not all of them, but most of them really are fast-paced. So the maps they play on, a lot of them you can also find on the ranked pool for Empire Wars, but there are some special maps. So I'm gonna go over them alphabetically and maybe just go over the known maps a bit shorter and then with a special focus to
before we move on to this next segment about the maps, we would recommend anybody who is able to look up the image of the maps we will be discussing so you have a visual aid.
We will put a link in the description. Like
link in bio. Yeah, I can't wait to hear what is this map. It's Arabia. I've never heard of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So Arabia is the most standard map. Usually you have pretty balanced resources, some hills on the map. People know it from RM. On Empire Wars, it will be a bit harder to wall than it is on RM. Okay. So yeah, maybe early aggression has a bit more of a payoff or reward. But what's also interesting here is that they replaced Arabia with runestones for the previous tournament, which was...
Yeah, indeed. I do remember that.
Yeah, runestones, it resembled Arabia. It was pretty standardized, but it had less hills. It was a green map, a relic in the middle. It was, I feel, very balanced runestones.
Yeah, but I like the unbalanced
with the hills.
I like them.
Yeah, Arabia can give you more of a map, which also... It gives more interesting games than just runestones, I think.
Yeah, because at that point you might be unlucky when you have the hill in front of your base, so you need to adapt.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it might put you in a disadvantage, but that can make a match that might be kind of predictable otherwise more interesting. If you have one of the top dogs playing, one of the lower ranked players, could give them an edge. Mm-hmm. Okay, it could also happen the opposite way, and then it's just a stomp. But
these
fun.
People can really, their early scouting is done quite quickly, and they immediately know, oh, my gold is here or there. This I'm gonna play like this, and they will adapt properly normally.
Yeah, I see this other map, Atacama. It looks a bit like a Four Lakes clone, right? But smaller lakes. I don't know.
Far smaller. I think Atacama is very different from Four Lakes. I think the lakes are there, but they're way less important. The main thing is wood on Atacama. So resources are plentiful and scattered over the map, but the big thing about Atacama is there's only one area where there's big wood lines, and that's the center of the map, which is also open, and it has like passages through, which makes sure that if you go there to cut lumber, you're also really vulnerable with your villagers.
Oh, that seems like a great map for scout rushing, no?
Yeah, and towers as well, like towering wood lines. Yeah. So I think a very aggressive map, which is a bit different. Denying wood normally isn't the biggest thing, but on this map, if you could deny the wood lines in the middle, it can really have a big impact, because then you need to like cut the very small patches all over the map, which is really bad long term.
It looks like a map that's going to end in feudal age most of the time. Compared to that, I don't think enclosed will be as quickly over, right?
No. But I think we skipped one, right? We skipped
Acclivity. I
If
know
we
we
do it
skipped
alphabetically.
Yeah, we can go back to acclivity first.
Yeah, so we don't forget it. If we do it in an alphabetical way, acclivity is a bit like you have quite mirrored maps, a bit balanced.
I see the woods on the sides as well. Interesting.
Yeah, woods on the sides. I think it's a map where elevation is also a point, but it's not like the patches on Arabia. It's like entire lines of elevation. So if you can castle the elevated zones, if you like Tatars, if you have a bonus for it. Acclivity, I think a pretty open map, but with more standardized elevation. That's the thing.
I have to say, I'm quite a fan of enclosed. I know the walls are not as solid as on the arena, and the fact that you have the safe wood line in the back means that you don't have to worry too much about it. And also in the late game, you can do fun stuff with like onager cutting and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a fun one. Hope we get. We haven't discussed like how do the pros choose their maps? Is it like they both have 2-3 choices?
They have drafting systems, so it's usually based on whoever is the. Are they seeded? I think they are, right? They get a seed. And yes. Then, because last time it was based on their previous Red Bull performances, and Viper had like a really low rating for strategy, I remember.
Yeah, I remember the memes.
They get like a rating and then they get a seed. Well, basically, I think it's the same system like it is with Civs. You ban maps and you pick maps, I think. Okay. And then the first map, I'm not so sure how it's decided. It's Arabia, probably. Right.
The map for game 1 is always the remaining map.
Okay, like this. Yeah. But that's even better.
I don't know how that works then.
That's the map you favorite your home maps, and then the map that's left over. Probably how many maps are there exactly? 1, 2, 3, like 4, 5, 6.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There are 11 maps.
11 maps, so
what, it's every game in best of 5? Or what?
No, it starts with best of 3s. The group stage is best of 3, and then I think it will be a system. Probably you ban more in the early rounds, and then later you ban less, and then it's a system like this, I suppose.
Okay, maybe at the end we can see both pick one map we think will be the least popular and the most popular or something like that. No? I don't know.
Yeah, and I think that like the starting map will always be like pretty balanced like this. I think because nobody favorites it, nobody bans it. I think it's a good system. And it brings more variety than always starting on Arabia.
Moving on, Frigid Lake. Is that horrible map with all the boars in the middle? Or not? Am I wrong? There's like this one map. Oh no, that's not that one. Right, you have like all the boars in the middle. And it's like super competitive who gets the boars. And when we played in Wandering Warriors, you don't remember?
Yeah, no, Frigid Lake is... yeah, I remember. Because it looks like it, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like
No. It's not a nomad map. It's like it's a bit like if you would say the Golden Swamp, but without the gold in the middle. It's just a pool of water in the middle. Okay. Yeah,
and your TC is also standing on this weird water. No, you can't build farms around your TC.
You have fish around the TC, so you can start fishing immediately. Which makes it hard to farm after the fish is depleted.
Yeah, it's annoying.
And then you have some hills around your base. In the middle, there's water, so you can either go for a dock or not. But if you go for a dock in Empire Wars, you need to keep in mind that your opponent might as well be going scouts at the same time while you're investing into some fishing ships. So it's a hybrid map, I feel. But the water isn't very big. And I think it's more open than it seems because of the water next to your TC. It's quite unsafe as you move away to other resources. So I think scouts on this map might actually be a scout rushing map.
Now, the thing is, maybe this is a good moment to come back to our fighting point, which is to give the Dravidians that faster fishing bonus that the Indians used to have. I mean, I think we need to repeat this every podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, indeed. This would make them actually interesting.
Justice for Dravidians, you said that time.
Justice for Dravidians. I love them actually. I'm starting to play them a lot on Nomad. If I get to choose, I choose them. I mean, I don't think they're great, but I just like playing them. I don't know why.
for those who don't know what we mean, we were talking about how Indians had a way they fished faster with their villagers, and now Dravidians they just can hold more fish, so it's not really the same. And we wanted to give them faster fish income.
Exactly, it does make them slightly more efficient, but it's just annoying. Just give them the 10% bonus. Just do it. Just do it.
Do it.
Anyway, Kawasan. Kawasan. And that's the one where you fight a little bit on the water, because you have like the early dogs, then you do a little bit of water, and often it's the one actually, in the end, the water almost never matters, and they just fight on land.
It depends. It depends. It's the one where I defeated you with Bengali elephants, and you said, "Oh, but you had fish," but that was RM. So Empire Wars will be a bit different. I think there's a few things to note here. Mostly that it's not really an open map, because you have 2 pools in the middle, which give like a natural barrier, right? Easier walled. On the sides of the map, you can cross a pool, or you can go through the middle. And through the middle, there's one big hill with a lot of berry bushes and a lot of relics.
Franks.
Yeah, Franks and Lithuanians. If you can conquer the middle on the way to castle, you are guaranteed you get all the relics. Like civs with relic bonuses also have really much the incentive to go for the middle early. So
Aztecs and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I think this map is, well, we will probably see race and villager kills, but I think map control is a big thing on this map, because by conquering the middle of the map, you get the fish, you get the berries, you get the relics, you get the reward, really.
And don't forget that there is fish in this map.
There is fish.
You will have the humble experience of losing to stupid Bengalis.
I remember Huns used to be a favorite civ here, and then CA usually, because of the mobility and because the map is actually, it's not really a closed map. There's still, it's hard to really control the middle. You can wall the sides, but the middle is always open. But now that they've changed Huns and they start with less wood, I think that's a big nerf for the Empire War start. So I'm not so sure if they will still be the most favorites, or one of the most favorite civs here.
Something to look out for. Now, I wish I could talk to you about Morse, but I have no idea about Morse. So maybe you know about Morse?
Well, I haven't seen that many feudal games with it.
Well, what is it? It's like a swamp.
What it is, so it's one of the new maps. In the middle of the map, there is wood. And then around the wood in the middle, there are small fishing spots. But that's a map where faster working fishermen would actually do a big thing, because you do it with the villagers. It's like the spots just in the earth. And then all around the map, there are resources. So gold, stone. I think the main issue here will be the early food economy and the fish. And you're also quite close. So I think people will try and get like a fish boom going with villagers and mills, and deny it of the other ones. So I think it might be an aggressive map.
For me, I think what I see is, if you just look at the center, right? You have this brownish, region with the wood in it. To me, it resembles...
Yeah, that's where the fish is.
Yeah, to me, it resembles some kind of cartoon figure, no? I see like, the body, then you have a cat type head. You have to tilt your head slightly to the right, but you see it, like you have legs and arms.
Okay, yeah,
that's my input on more S. Okay, Northern Isles. Maybe I can do this one.
All right.
So this looks like a water map. So it's going to be important that you go for a fish. I think there's gold between and a little island. Maybe some relics there as well, probably. So yeah, it looks like a water map that's not going to be chosen. I don't think.
There's a big difference between Northern Isles and islands in the Empire Wars. It's in Northern Isles, you also start with a transport ship.
Ooh.
And since it's Empire Wars, you already have you can immediately cross and build your archery range, so it's like on normal games, you have, by the time the first one reaches feudal and goes for the naval military, you can really get the advantage, and the one who controls water can sometimes really get a lead. But in this game, there's a very big potential for like a sneak
Still, it's probably my vote for the map that will go to the time limit the most.
Yeah,
no?
probably.
Because you can get into the situations where nobody can cross the water and you're just endlessly fighting.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe enclosed or something. No, because enclosed you can't wall over the certain area
No,
in the
indeed.
middle, so you can't full wall. This is a map where it can get stalematey, but I don't think it will necessarily happen. Because of the landing potential, I think it might be quite different from the island maps, which we see in other tournaments.
So Outcrop, it looks like a map with a lot of hunt, no, on the sides.
Yeah.
So Mongols could be very good there. But what is this wall, this cliffs that I see?
So basically, it's like you start on normal elevation, but there's like a valley down towards the sides where there's a lot of resources, but you need to move out of your starting base to really access them. So you won't do it in Feudal Age, but I think players will try and get their town centers more in the valleys towards the sides of the map. So really move out or migrate a part of their eco, which is either greedy or you will need map control before you can do it safely. So again, I think it's a map where when you're in Castle Age and you get the resources, you can get that snowball going. But if you're in Feudal Age and you get the advantage there, you can try and deny resources or use your map control. I've seen some games on it, and it's quite difficult sometimes to to keep a full vision because there's a lot going on. Like you have your own base, then you can try and migrate. You have your opponent's base, but because they are making like bases somewhere else, it's hard to keep a vision of it. So sometimes you can see some nice the games go in a unexpected way.
Interesting. Okay, thank you for your explanation. Now, the next map, I actually know. I've actually played it on Empire Wars game mode already. So that's Shoals. So Shoals, you start with a dock and a fishing ship, and also a sea tower, which is like a special tower that is there to protect your fishing ship. You have water that's traversable. There's some small pathways that you can use to traverse with land troops, the middle. And you have 2 gold spots on the sides, a bit like a golden pit style. So you have gold in the middle, and not so much gold in your base. So it's quite an interesting map because with the sea tower, it makes rushing with fires much more difficult because you have that tower that can help protect your fish. So we already discussed in the patch update last episode, that we think galleys are the way to go here because you can snipe them, from a distance without getting as much hit by the tower. And you can even use those galleys to protect a little bit the gold on the piles on the sides. So yeah, it's one of those maps where you have to secure the gold, fortify it, maybe TC or castle drop somewhere, in the sides and get set up. I think you can win this map ignoring the water. If you just get a good grip on the gold. So yeah, interesting map for sure.
Yeah. Also, a big thing to note why the water is less important here is, first of all, the sea tower makes it hard to fully win water when you invest into it. Second of all the fish is shore fish, so there's no deep fish in the middle. So I think people will try and keep their fishing ships alive, maybe fight a bit on the water, but they won't go the full on. And then, I'm quite curious as to how the pros played because it's a relatively new map and we've discussed it, and we had some differences in our opinions, like how would we approach it. So yeah, I'm curious.
This map has my pick for being most interested in seeing how the pros are going to play it, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just strategy based, you mean, right?
Yeah.
Because actually the map I think will be the most entertaining to see is the next one, if you're ready to move on.
Yes, please, tell me.
The Bull. Have you seen any matches on it yet?
No, I'm completely surprised seeing this image.
Yeah, I think it's inspired by the sponsor. Because
you have no idea. Maybe I don't think so. I'm not sure.
Yeah, because the map actually is it looks like a bull. Like the wood lines are like a drawing of a bull, but underneath its ears there's an opening. So either you chop through the the lines of the pool, or you move through it. And in the middle of the pool, there's gold and resources. Then,
okay. Keep going.
So our listeners should have an image of a bull. In the middle of the bull, there's gold, and then the players spawn right in between the horns of the bull. So exactly next to each other, very, very close. Yeah. So aggression is very, very much a possibility. However, if you are able to hold your base and move out a bit more greedily towards the top, in between the players, there are patches of fish to gather with like mills and fishermen. And towards the sides, in the east and the west of the map, there are really ponds where you can make a dock and fishing ships. Even though you're next to each other, there's some incentive to move out for the sides, which gives you, maybe it feels risky, but it can give you a big resource snowball to use because you're really next to each other.
My God, but wait, this map, so it's fish on top there in the north.
Yeah, in the north there's fish.
I thought it was hunt or something.
No, fish.
Wow.
Which is also, I think, there's so much potential for aggression because underneath the ears of the bull, if you're still looking at the image, you can access the woodline without chopping through, like the center of the map. And then you can tower the backside of the woodline of your opponent as well. So this map has so much potential for feudal engagement.
I wonder what happens if you just wall off from the tip of the horn to the edge of the wall and then under the ear. You have a whole eco quite safe, right? Like, I mean, you could wall it off. Okay, maybe
wall off the center, you mean?
Imagine you're the red player. You move left, tiny wall there on the north, from the horn to the side of the wall. Then you wall the ear hole, and you wall like left of the mouth. You have a whole half of the map walled off quite easily.
But you don't have much gold.
I didn't think about that.
Also, I think players want to deny each other's resources. It's just basically this map has resources all over the map, but players are close to each other. So constantly they can pressure each other. So whoever has access to the fishermen on the north, or the fishing ponds towards the sides, or the gold in the middle, can really use it to immediately create army, get the tax. I think this map has so much potential for aggressive games, special games, all-in strategies. Yeah, I'm really most excited to see the games on this map, personally, because it's such a special map. It's so...
We need to see if it's possible, if you have Berbers with a faster walking speed, if you can get into the bull's head and to the other ear and wall it off before the other player can get there.
But I think it's shorter for the other player, right, normally?
Now maybe you can walk there, wall it off, and then try to kill his villain is in the middle, and then tower, his wet backwoods or something. I don't know, it's very interesting.
Also, the players, it's quite easy to chop through the wood. I think normally, in not instantly, but like by the time you're somewhere in Castle Age, you should have chopped through and be able to access the bull without walking the distance.
So how do we know this map is not a tribute to our beloved caster Mumm?
Ah, yeah, that's also, yeah.
Could be, yeah.
It's created by Crasini, so Crasini will
ask him.
Tell us who inspired him. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, that's good. So we went over all the maps somehow. Interesting things. So which map are you... do you think is going to be chosen the least? Let's start with that one. What's your pick for least popular?
I think Northern Eye. No, I'm not sure actually. I think Morris.
Morass?
Morass or Morris, yeah.
It's true that the newer maps have less time to be tested,
Yeah.
So you might have a point, but I'm still going to stick to... I will choose Northern Isles.
Yeah?
Being that people love to hate on water.
Yeah, but not everyone.
No, I know, but Tato is only one player.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think Viper is also someone who would... I think...
Yeah, but
maybe
we'll
just
see.
Leary will definitely not pick Northern Isles. I'm quite sure of it. Yeah.
So we both have our pick for least chosen. What is your most chosen map? you think will be chosen? Oh no, let's not do that because it will be Arabia. Let's
I
just
think so too.
What is your favorite map? Let's do that.
Yeah, my favorite map will be the Bull, I think. Maybe after the tournament I will say something else, but right now I think the Bull will be my favorite map.
And I will stick to my beloved... No, I'm not sure actually. Actually, I don't know. Let me think. I think, strangely enough, I might go for Enclosed. I know this is very weird, but I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. I'm gonna pick Enclosed.
All right. Yeah.
Okay.
So a lot of games to look forward to. That's
exactly.
For sure. Yeah.
Now that our listeners, we've discussed the game mode, Empire Wars, the settings of the tournament, and the maps that people will play on. But of course, that leaves the players themselves. Who are they? What drives them? And who has the most likely chance to win and take home the big prize? So let's start discussing that. So as we discussed before, there's a huge prize pool, $200,000, I guess, in total. So, I mean, people are going to bring their A game. But who are the people that are coming, and how are they divided?
4 people actually are automatically invited because they've won previous Red Bull Wololo events. And that's Yo, who won the first Red Bull. Then Leary won the second and the fourth. And then Doubt won the third. And the fifth was won by the Viper. So those 4 players were automatically invited to the Legacy event.
That seems correct to me. You know, you want to have the winners come back to see if they can defend their honor and their crown.
And then there were some tournaments which also allowed people to qualify, which were the Resurgence performances and the RMS performances of players. And I think T90's Titans League as well.
Yeah, indeed.
So people who were really performing well there and qualified that way, that's, I think, Hera, Tato, Velez, Finchester, and that's it.
Right? That's it.
Yeah.
Now, you know what I find interesting about that? Because when the Resurgence started, Red Bull Wololo Legacy wasn't yet officially announced.
Yeah.
So then when it was announced, it was like it was added to the prize of winning Resurgence.
Yeah. And I think like the Resurgence was really introduced by Jordan to try and revive the game right after a lot of people switched to Age of Empires 4, or just he wanted to breathe new life into it. And I think his tournament, the way that it was now linked to the Red Bull event, which was announced, it really did what it was supposed to, right?
For sure. He I mean, if you look at the player count and everything, the game is alive and kicking. And I think it's just a funny thing. I was wondering if the organizers knew, and they must have known. But it's just like, imagine you're playing and suddenly the prize gets lifted that much. You're like, oh, wow, now I'm serious.
Just being able to participate in Red Bull Legacy now already boosts your prize pool, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Just by performing in it. So it's, big thing.
I mean, I would just be happy because you will get this customized banner, with your name.
Yeah.
And I mean, just for that, it's already worth going.
Who gives about any prize pool if you can get a miniature trebuchet when you win, like the one Viper got last year? Do you remember?
Yes. That's the real prize.
That's why you do it, Yeah.
I mean, nobody's safe if you have that miniature trebuchet. They can hide in their castles.
Like your neighbors, like, oh, it's 6 a.m. and you're doing the lawn. Whoopa!
Trebuchet. Okay. So those are the ones that qualified due to their performance. Then there were, of course, the qualifiers, a series of events. Actually, a lot of this happened non-streamed, right? Because I saw they started with, I think, 500 people or something crazy.
Yeah, massive.
Yeah, so it really went down to those last couple of finalists. So the people that were that got selected from the open qualifiers are Kapoch, Daniel, MBL, Nikov, ACCM, Jordan, Sito, and Valas. So that ends up with a total of 16 players for the Red Bull Wololo Legacy tournament.
That's a lot. So we can expect a lot of games. And they've divided those 16 players into 2 groups, which is something I might like, actually.
Yeah.
Just to keep it a bit streamlined.
I wonder, do they have a situation where it's like in the FIFA or whatever, where they put like certain, certain teams from a higher division, so they split them over the groups so that it's not, all the heavy hitters in the same group? I see it's color coded, so I think it is. I think the qualifier people need 4 qualifiers in each group, 2 from the tournaments, and then the 2 automatically invited. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's 2 invited. It's balanced like this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So basically, Group A, that will be Daniel, Dowd, Jordan, Nikov, Cito, Tato, the Viper, and Winchester. Pretty decent. Well, they're all decent players, so it will automatically be competitive. But yeah, really, I think just looking at the group, I'm already getting excited, like for some matchups, like Tato, Jordan, and the Viper being in the same team. It automatically spark. Like, are there GL players in the other group?
I don't see any.
No, so all GL players are in the same group.
It's actually quite unlucky, no? Because that means that they might end up eliminating each other. It's not what you prefer.
They're professional enough to do it anyway, without holding grudges.
No, I know, but I'm just saying.
But as a team, it's not perfect, not ideal.
It's actually quite interesting because, having the people that test together play each other means that they might have to be forced to use unconventional strategies, which might give us some very entertaining games, no?
They also know each other's strategies. They might want to hold something back. I mean, like, if they talked about their strategies openly, and Jordan feels like it's now or never and uses a strategy which Viper wanted to keep a secret, it's like,
Oof, that's true. That's true. I wonder if they have some deals about that.
Or maybe they have like strategies which they don't even share towards their teammates. I'm not sure, but then it's hard to trust them, right?
Yeah, indeed. And who do you train with then for that strategy? Mm-hmm. You play against the bot on the most difficult setting? I don't think so. It's interesting anyway. So in this group A, we're going to have 4 players that are not going to get selected to join the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Who do you think those 4 will be?
That go through or don't get through?
Oh, whatever you want. Maybe the ones that don't go through.
I think the people who will have to really play their best to get further into this tournament will be Daniel. I think he's a very good player, but right now he's surrounded by top tier players.
Yes, of course.
And then Cito is a bit of a dark horse for me because he's very good and I've seen him play top games, but I'm not sure about if the consistency is there for him.
I have seen his recent winnings and he's good, but is he, that upper echelon good? You know what I mean? At the moment, he's more of indeed, as you say, the unknown quantity. So I would praise him more in the camp that is not going to make it than the one that's going to.
For Nikov, I have the same. I think he's very good, but I think when he goes up to people like Tato, Viper, Winchester, Dowd is always a coin toss. I feel like Dowd can win to the Viper, but he might as well lose to Daniel. You know what I mean with Dowd? It's like
Dowd, you cannot be against the Lord. He has his mysterious ways of doing things.
It's hard to predict any game because he can play like God tier or like questionable.
He will always have a horrible micro. That's the only thing we know. No, but
it's getting better. I think it's not always. Yeah.
For Nikov, he needs to have a good day to have a chance against a lot of this competition. So we can put him in the camp of more likely to not make it. But then who is the last one? I think this is an interesting choice. Now it gets difficult.
For me, I'm a bit torn between Winchester and Jordan.
How dare you? How dare you? Winchester is my boy. You leave him alone.
Okay.
Yes.
So you would think then, well, Viper is obviously the favorite in this group, right?
Yes.
So then you have Jordan, Tato, and Winchester, and Dowd.
Yes, I think for me, Jordan has been very good lately. I mean, I think he has a good chance of making it because he's training as a beast as well. So then I'm more split between Tato or Doubt, to be honest. And I can't vote against the Lord. But I do love Tato, but I'm going to say Tato.
Yeah, because Tato, I think he has very good micro. He has very good strategy. But I feel like he doesn't have the micro of Leary or the Viper. Or like it's like a tiny bit slower. And also, it's a bit more predictable, his play, than Doubt or also the Viper or people who like go off book.
Yeah.
Which is the same for Jordan, but his execution is really good.
Yeah, he's clean, more and more. I mean, he's definitely going to lose a game. He's not going to go 3-0 or winning every match. But yeah, I would say for me, I'm guessing Jordan, Doubt, Viper, and Winchester are passing.
Yeah, okay. Then for me, I would say Jordan, Viper, because I'm sure that's a safe pick. And then I think Tato will go through. And then, yeah, Winchester might go, but Sito, I'm going to say Sito.
Okay.
Just because I'm also
interesting.
looking for,
Someone write it down, predictions. No, we'll listen back and see how well he did. No, moving on. Group B. Of course, we already listed all the players, so you should know who is in this group. But just to help you, we'll repeat them. So Group B contains ACCM, Capoch, Hera, Leary, MBL, Valas, Velese, and Yo. So again, I'm going to start off with the same question. 4 people are advancing to the playoffs. Well, no. First, before we start with that, maybe let's discuss the group in general. I think this group is a little bit less, difficult. And maybe that's a word to say.
First of all, there's no Gamer Legion people here, which are always, they're going to go to the boot camp, they're going to prepare strategies, but there's very strong individual players here.
Yeah.
I think Yo, Leary, and Hera are all considered to be like in the top 3. Along with it's always a discussion, I feel, between 4 or 5 players, and these 3 are always in the discussion.
Yeah, they're all beasts in their own way, these 3.
Yeah.
They have very different styles, I would say. They're very different players, but they all are very, very good.
Yeah.
And then you have MBL, which is,
Yeah, Hera needs to be afraid of him, considering last Red Bull event, which was also a massive moment.
Yeah, it was nice to see.
MBL, I think everybody loves him. He loves the game. He plays that much. He's really good with Mangonel micro, but he's maybe not a top tier player for strategy or for diversifying his play.
But he's got the heart. He never gives up.
Yeah, he's a hardcore player.
Exactly. Do you think he's not going to make it out of this group then?
Well, then the question is, who do you think will struggle the most of the other ones? Because there's a lot of, like, Hera, Leary, Yo, okay, they're favorites. And then ACCM, I'm not convinced that he has what it takes to move on. He's a good player.
But the competition is murderous, no? At this level.
Yeah, and I think he's really good in team games as well, or like more different style maps. I haven't seen him shine as much on Empire Wars or Red Bull events before, so
yeah.
I'm gonna say he doesn't advance. Capoch, I've seen him do very well in Empire Wars before.
He has made it. He has made it to the playoffs before.
Yeah.
So he does have it in him. Of course, I think the competition, has increased since then, right?
Yeah, and also Empire Wars used to be like a special thing, which was only for Red Bull. Right now, we've had it on the ranked ladder for a year, and I think a lot of players are more adapted to it, and maybe it fitted his playstyle more, but the other ones have already found their way of adapting to it.
Yeah, I think now everybody comes very, very prepared, maybe more than before. So, yeah, I agree.
In 2020 or 2021, it was like, when it was really new, he was suddenly way better than he was in the other tournaments, I felt. Like, it really suited him, and I'm not so sure if it will.
But I agree with you.
He has the potential, but I'm not so sure about him.
No, I agree. I don't think Capoch will make it as well out of this group. Now, moving on, Hera, the Canadian with quite a history in Red Bull.
Yeah. I think I won't surprise anyone when I say he will not make it to the finals. No, I'm sorry.
Well, it depends. If Leary is there, he's definitely not going to win the finals.
But it's a group stage, so I think it's just like depending on their basic performance. So
the thing with Hera, he was gone for a while, trying to make it in Age of Empires 4. But yeah, he came back.
And then League of Legends as well.
Exactly, League of Legends. That was quite an interesting phase. But Hera, he is not to be underestimated. He has the determination to train. I don't know if he's training with Leary like he normally does, but those two always come out to these tournaments to play, and they play very, very serious. Like, I think there was a one Red Bull where he literally went 3-0 every round until he lost in the finals to Leary. I think he literally smashed everybody. So yeah, Hera, I mean, he's gonna move on. I have no doubt.
He's gonna move on, but about Hera, I also think like he's a better RM player maybe than he's an Empire Wars player, I feel. And I think he's matured a lot in his gameplay. He always was fast. He always was good. But I've seen him do some new things, like not just go Hussar, or like he really thinks about his games, and I feel like he really has a very calm and intrigued mindset about improving all the time. And also, because his tournament performances, I feel he really deserves a big win. But yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I hope he advances.
We'll see at the end. Now, I have to say one little thing. I was recently watching him train Empire Wars, and the things I saw him do in Empire Wars, he was Castle Age against an opponent that had a big crossbow army, bunch of knights with it, a mangonels or two, and he just had like maybe 8, maybe 10 elite skirms and a monk or two, and somehow he managed to wipe that army. I think he added a mangonel at some point, but wipe that army and win the game. Like he's becoming in that Viper tier where he's like defending himself with just a minimum, like a shoestring and some tape, and that makes his eco grow until he can just push out and win the game. So yeah, I'm excited for Hera this one. I think he has a good shot.
Yeah, and he's more and more versatile, I feel. Like he's a good defender and a good aggressor.
Interestingly enough, Leary, moving on, Leary, famous for his extremely powerful and deadly archer micro, he's the man famous for his fast imp into Arbalists, into GG. So remember that pin I put in the beginning of the episode? I'm going to unpin it. And I think I'm going to deposit this statement. Out of all the pros, Leary is going to be the most affected by the change in the recent patch with the rebalancing of archers. What do you think?
The extra costs.
What do you think?
Probably because, if I'm honest, I can't remember any game I've seen from Leary where he was not playing archers. I will have seen games where he's not playing archers.
But you didn't remember those, or
yeah, I don't remember those, and they're definitely like, I think 9 out of 10 times he will probably go archers, right?
I don't think so, actually. I think it's just skewed in our minds, because he's so impressive that it sticks in your minds when he plays archers. But I do think he's not a one-trick pony, and he can play other strategies. Yeah. I just think that he is the one that excelled at the archer micro strategy, and he's going to feel it the most.
Yeah, it's not just a micro. What was really sick with Leary was that he was very aggressive and with his micro, but on the same time, his eco balance was exactly set to click Castle Age before the opponent. He always was like a bit before. He had his upgrades a little bit sooner. In the meantime, he was still microing. So then it might be right that the extra cost might change his build a bit. But he's really clean just in his gameplay.
Yeah, but imagine if you've been playing years and you get these kind of feelings of how to balance everything. Then they change the price, even just, the little increase in crossbow. He's the one that's going to feel that the most, because he must have been streamlining this for years, based on feeling. So I just think that's why I say he's the most affected by the change. I don't think it means that I think he's still going to make it out of the groups. No problem, I even think. But I think that we're going to see if that has an impact on him or not.
I think for Leary, the reason why I'm not sure if he is one of the favorites to win once he makes it out of the group is more like what you said, but also the maps, because I feel there's a lot of variation on the maps here, and I'm not so sure if Leary is as good at adapting to different situations than the others, but he's still one of the
yeah, he's still Leary. I mean, have you seen he's been, I think, number 1 or number 2 in every Red Bull Wololo tournament besides the first one. So I mean,
Empire Wars is really suited for him as well. Like the early aggression, he is a very good player to be the aggressor, really, and to still maintain good control about his macro. And
yeah, it's interesting. But let's say we put him down as passing to the playoffs, right?
Yeah, I would put him before Hera, I think.
Yeah, for sure. As is tradition. MBL. We already discussed MBL, right? We started with him.
I root for him. I'm not so sure.
Right, well, let's get back to him after we discussed the last 3.
Yeah.
Valas. I mean, I like seeing him play. I think he impressed me in the was it team tournament again? What was it team tournament again? Where it was a King of the Desert? No, the single, right?
King of the Desert, where you saw. I remember a game.
King of the
think
Desert.
I've seen him first. Wasn't he also in the T90 one? Nomad. What was it?
Yeah,
Nomad tournament. Yeah, that one. Yeah,
I remember him mainly from King of the Desert, and I thought he was very good. But I don't know that much about his play style, I think. I always thought of him as a bit of a mini Leary, like, I don't know why. I just see him as like a similar style, but just a little bit under Leary. I don't know.
I think he is more out of the box sometimes than Leary, but maybe that's because he's not at a top level. He plays meta a lot, but I think I've seen some games from him where he's like, he can be surprising. Like, with Leary, I've rarely seen games with Leary where Leary did something unexpected as a viewer, like you.
Yeah, but do you think he's gonna pass in this group?
Valas? No.
No, I also don't think so.
No.
That's nothing against him. I just think
no. I would be happy for him, but I don't think his chances are that good.
A player that I think we shouldn't underestimate is the next one, though, Velese. Like, he continuously impresses me with his performance, playing standard, playing strange situations. He's really been improving a lot, I feel. What do you think?
Historically, he's also done well in the previous Red Bull events. He has been in most of them, I think, and also finals. He might not be like the big winner of a lot of tournaments, but he's very consistent.
He's often top 8, top 4 maybe sometimes, like, yeah, I see him easily passing actually to playoffs.
For me, it's between him and then, I think Velez, MBL, or Capoch, and I'm a bit torn in between them. I think Velez might have statistically the best odds, but I'm not so sure if Capoch will surprise us. And MBL, he's a bit like what I said about Doubt. He could be magnificent, and he might even win against Hera as he did last time, but he might as well lose against Valas, or you know what I mean? It's like
he will always be entertained. I think that's the main thing with MBL.
Will be good games, yeah.
So Yo, I think, is a bit of the big fish now as well in this group.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the favorites. I think Yo and Leary or Hera. Yeah.
Yo is one of those guys that's always in the top 2, sometimes playing finals a lot, semifinals. I think Yo has won a Red Bull. I mean, it was the first one, but he smashed Viper 4-0, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that actually basically made him retire. No, okay, that's way too much. but Yo was known as the Viper killer for a while.
That was a big moment because Viper won everything always, which he participated in, and then suddenly he lost the final 4-0. It was like, what? And they called him Mr. 4-0 instead of Mr. Yo as well. It was awesome.
So yeah, I think he was known as the Viper Killer, but now
Yeah.
he's more of a. I think actually in a big tournament, I don't remember which one, he lost to the Viper not that long ago. So yeah.
Yeah, and also I think that's both the Vipers play as well as it was Yo's play. I think both of them were like, I think Yo is definitely one of the top players, but the Viper at the time maybe wasn't in his best form, and definitely not for Empire Wars, where it's really fast.
I just think that Yo in general, I see him now as more of an overall good player, you know? Before he was just known as the Viper Killer, but now
he plays everything.
Yeah, he's just a solid player who's going to make it to the playoffs for sure.
Yeah. I think I really like Yo. Have you seen Mr. Yo's his profile picture in the rank pools or on his thing? It's I don't know if we will include this in the podcast, but I will. It's Mr. Yo, but written like Pornhub, like the orange and and that's his official profile picture on the ranked. If you look him up on the ranked pool, you see everybody's profile picture.
Oh, you're right. That's hilarious.
Yeah, I think he's a great guy.
Yeah. Okay, so I think coming down to it, I would say my 4 players that are going to go through from Group B are Hera, Leary, Vilese, and Yo. I'm putting it down. Those are my 4. What are yours?
The same, except I will trade Vilese for MBL. I think MBL will go through.
I respect it.
Before we end about Group B, there's one matchup on the opening rounds, which I'm really looking forward to in Group B. Can you guess which one it is?
Let me look. Opening rounds in Group B, it has to be Hera MBL, of course.
The big rematch, because that was such a big moment in Red Bull 5, where Hera didn't make it to the finals, or was it before the finals or in the finals?
It was in the quarterfinals.
Yeah,
he didn't make it to the semis,
and no one expected MBL to win that game, and somehow he did. And
MBL didn't expect to win that game.
Yeah, you could see it on his face, and that's the fun thing about the LAN event and the camera. You can really see the players' reaction.
Yes.
Also, Hera's disappointment, but for MBL, it was such a big moment.
I mean, Hera is used to disappointment at this point, and MBL. I'm joking. No, it was actually a very nice moment to see MBL smile and how happy he was and surprised.
Yeah, but I think it's a symbolic one on the 21st of October, the first match.
That's one to look out for. We'll end up recapping where and when to watch it. Before we move on to that, let's just end up with our global winners.
Yeah.
Pen, who is your tournament winner and why?
Well,
only one name.
Then I need to look at both groups. Yeah, only one name. Yeah. Do you know who my favorite player is in general, normally? I think you should. No?
I don't know. I think maybe your favorite in general. Tato, maybe?
No, I'm a big Viper fanboy.
Oh, you're a Viper fan.
Yeah, I'm a Viper fanboy.
So mainstream.
Yeah, but in this tournament, I'm not so sure. I think Viper is back. His wrist is healed. I believe in him. So I would say my favorite to win will be the Viper.
The Viper, what a daring statement.
But I think it is daring considering his
but he won
Red
the last
Bull.
one.
Yeah.
He literally won the last one.
Yeah, but it was quite close, right? His final. Yeah, I'm not sure. Okay, but I'm gonna say the Viper, and I'm actually rooting for him.
Yeah, I understand. My tournament winner is Leary. I know I gave him the most criticism about this change, but if you look at his track record, first or second in each Red Bull that he participated in, I think, that just means that he knows what he's doing in Red Bull, and I think he's ready to surprise us again. I'm just wondering if he's gonna change his style and become inspired by Hera and just flood hussars each game. Yeah. So that's Leary. That's my pick. Very, very boring as well.
Yeah, it's more predictable, his play, but it's just try and stop it.
Mm,
It's
exactly.
your phrase. And is there anyone, because those were the ones we think are our favorites to win, like our
Mhm.
champions or whatever. Is there anyone you would be rooting for, not because you think they're gonna win, but because you really would like it if they won? Like the
Of
person you would be
course.
happiest for?
Is it a surprise if I say Winchester is the one that's going to? I would, I would. He
Yeah.
deserves to win so much. I mean, Winchester, he's been playing very well recently.
Hmm.
I don't know if you know, but he got first place in the T90 Titan League. He got top 4 in One Ring Warriors.
Was that Platinum Edition? He got first place?
Yes.
Yeah.
He got
Whoa.
first place in T90 Titan League. Okay, maybe
Whoa.
there were some pros that didn't take it as serious, but
Yeah.
still, he's been on his grind lately. He's improved a lot, and most of all, his attitude. Like, I don't know if you've seen, but he loses the semifinals in One Ring Warriors, and he immediately goes to like casting with Mumm, and he's so chill. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he's funny. He doesn't take himself too seriously, but he's very competitive. So yeah, I just think his attitude is what won me over, and I hope he does very well or even wins it. That's my underdog pick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think for me, well, all of these players I think would deserve a very good result, and I would be happy for them. But for me in particular, I would be happy for Hera if he got a big win here. Just because if you look at his tournament results, they're like, with all the time he spends grinding the ladder, really investing into these things, and then the results are usually not what he had hoped for. It's always these disappointments, and I really want him to earn big this time. And especially because, like, when everyone moved away from Age of Empires 2 to 4, and then he was even going to League of Legends, he was a bit like, I felt like he might have lost his drive or his passion. And I think now he's back, and he's really, yeah, investing a lot of his time and energy back into it. And I would really, be happy for him if he really got his results this time. But it's Hera.
Is he ready at this point though? I'm gonna play devil's advocate. Like, he used to be on the top edge of the most competitive person, and he was always a couple of times in the final with his testing teammate Leary. So you could say that as a group, as a team, they won a couple of Red Bulls because they were always in the final together. But now he's coming back up from going down. So do you think saying at this point he's a candidate to win? It's quite a bold statement.
But for such a long time, if you're not just looking at Red Bull, but also like at Hidden Cup or the other big tournaments, he was always doing so good, and he was always like falling just short. And that's I don't think he has the biggest chances. I think there's a few people in between him and my absolute favorite, the Viper, to win. But if Hera would win and really step up his game, I think I would be happier for him than I would be for anyone else.
Okay, yeah, that's a valid point. Okay, now moving on. I think you already mentioned your match to look out for, which was Hera versus MBL. So where can they see it, and how? Which date and where can they see it?
Yeah, so the tournament starts on the 21st of October, so that's actually, well, depending on when this podcast will air, shortly.
In a certain amount of days.
Yeah. Probably a week or less, I think it will be.
So it's tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow, yeah, or yesterday, you can watch the video. No, but normally it will be hosted by Red Bull itself, and they have a YouTube, and I think they are on Twitch as well. There's a lot of streamers. You can look it up on the official page from Red Bull, which we will link in the description. But last time I just looked at it was live on YouTube, and if you're looking at a lot of Age of Empires videos, it should automatically pop up on your home screen.
Of course, what would any tournament be without its broadcasting team? So for Red Bull Wololo Legacy, they've brought a lot of talent to the show. Your host will be the lovely Australian Riley Knight. He's a relative newcomer. I've seen his work before. He's an absolute joy to see, and I think he's really embracing the game. and it's great to see. Then we also have a roving reporter, so that's Ellie. She's going to be interviewing the players in the lounge and just kind of roving around, interviewing people. Very nice to see. We'll give some variation in the type of commentary we'll get. Then they are also working with an observer, Mapu TV. So an observer is someone that's going to help the commentators not miss any of the action. It's someone that's responsible for zooming around the map, making sure the casters can, focus on their casting and they don't have to spend their time looking around.
Mm-hmm.
For the casting themselves, there are 4 main English commentators. They are Nilly, Dave, Memp, and T90. And as I understand it, they will be casting in different combinations. So we will see the famous T90 Dave combo. But don't forget, there might be some other interesting combinations. Personally, I'm quite a fan of Nilly and Dave for the chaos they bring. And of course, our Spanish commentators squad is also present. We have Nacho and Mario. I think there are also other language options available. And for that information, I would direct you to the Liquipedia page of Red Bull Wololo Legacy if you wish to see if the tournament is being covered in your native tongue. Now, I wish everybody good luck, and I'm sure they'll give us quite a good show.
Yeah.
Hopefully, again, we'll see them in their medieval costumes as they did last time. Quite a show.
Yeah, quite a show indeed. That was just awesome.
Now, for the people who are maybe less... For the people who are less used to watching these kind of tournaments, we just want to highlight this is the tournament to watch. If you're going to watch only one tournament, watch Red Bull Wololo Legacy. Because we've both been watching all the previous editions, and the first couple were during the lockdown period. So they did a lot of them in a short amount of time. Very hyped tournaments, a lot of viewership as well. But last edition was something special, right, Pen?
Yeah.
Red Bull Wololo 5. Can you please say what did you think of the location, the same one we're going to this year?
It was awesome. It's in Heidelberg Castle, so it's actually a LAN event in a medieval castle. And Red Bull, they add these, like, you have a lot of tournaments and they tell you a lot about what you can expect, but Red Bull, they go the extra mile. They make these videos like people are dressed up in villagers, in jesters, and then a lot of videos introducing the players, and they're even riding horses. Like there was a video of Viper and I think Jordan riding a horse. It's like, it might be a bit gimmicky, but it's like entertainment. It's like, it's not just the matches. It's a big show, It's
indeed.
the only big tournament which does that. You have the player interviews, which you have in a lot of tournaments, but yeah, you can actually see everything. You can see the players prepare. You can see them drawing their civs and their maps. Then you see them play. You can see their reactions. And you have the interview. And it's always something's going on. And then you get these little videos in between. So, yeah.
Exactly. Those drone shots of the entire castle get you so into the mood of a medieval war game. Plus the fact that choosing your civs, choosing your maps is done with physical props, beautifully made icons of the civs. The maps have their own little icon. It's tactile. They're just in front of each other, separated by a table. You have the whole mind games, the vibe.
And you have their little books. They write them down. You can see them writing down the strategies, checking it out. It's like you have the full vision of what's going on with the players.
It's something in the air. It's just incomparable to tournaments that's played online or on the computer. This LAN event has that special edge, and as you said, everything around it, the host, the commentators, Red Bull that spends money and everything else. It's the event to watch, and I recommend all our viewers to do so. In order to actually help you stimulate this proposal, we actually have something we want to offer to our viewers. We have our little Discord channel up and running at this moment, and we would like to invite all of you listeners to please join the Discord if you wish. We'll have a link in the description. And yeah, it will be a place where we can live commentate, like we can chat during the matches, see, maybe have play a group game every now and then if we want to afterwards.
And
it's
also,
a place,
yeah, we told you about our favorites. If you disagree with us or if you have like your own favorites, just post it in there. Just beware that the Red Bull page will be spoiler, how do you say, unfree? Like it will be
spoiler filled.
Yeah, it will be live. If you're not live, then don't check that page because we will just allow everyone to say whatever about the ongoing tournament.
Exactly. But yeah, so feel free to participate in discussing and criticizing us for our terrible picks as winners.
Yeah.
So I think with that, we've come to the end of our show. I do want to quickly end with a little bonus content. I don't know if you're in the mood for it, Pen, but
I'm curious, mostly because I have no idea what this is going to be about.
So the whole cast and the whole podcast is focused on Age of Empires 2, but we did mention there is an Age of Empires 1 and 4 tournament happening at the same time. Now, we won't discuss too much in detail, but I just want to discuss the Age of Empires 1 tournament with you, Pen.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know anything about it?
Well, I know that it's, I think it's only invitations and it's only people from Vietnam, because apparently in Vietnam, the Age of Empires 1 community is massive. And I've even heard that like the viewership there could go over 100K sometimes for tournaments. So it's like extremely big apparently, but very regional. And if I'm not mistaken, but correct me if I'm wrong, are they still playing on one of the original versions instead of the definitive edition?
Exactly. So in Vietnam, they're actually playing the Rise of Rome, I guess. Is that the first expansion?
That's
they're playing
the expansion.
That's the first game. They're playing this expansion. So I think the fact that the hardware is maybe less easily available in Vietnam, they've chosen these old type, easy to run video games. And for some reason, Age of Empires 1 has remained extremely popular in Vietnam. So if you look at it, the qualifiers, because there's a whole process happened before the tournament, the Red Bull Wololo tournament, was played half of the games in the original game. So half of the games were played on the original version, and half on the Age of Empires 1 Definitive Edition. So they did a half and half. And after a huge and long qualifying process, only the finals will be played in the Heidelberg Castle. So only 2 Vietnamese players were invited. So they are called Bibi, and I won't maybe pronounce it, but Chim Sidinang or something like that. So those 2 players managed to qualify themselves to the finals, where they will play the Age of Empires 1 Definitive Edition. So we won't be seeing the original game on the Red Bull stream, but they will play the Definitive Edition, best of 9. Do you know what they can stand to win?
I think the prize pool for Age of Empires 2, it's 200,000. So for them, it should be less, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. So the first place of these 2 gets $20,000. Second place, 10,000.
Yeah, that's still big, I think, right?
Yeah, well, the interesting thing is comparing to the average salary of a Vietnamese. Do you have any idea how much they earn per month or per year? On average?
I know that in Vietnam it's like sponsored by corporate businesses who are like sponsor esports or whatever. I've heard that, so I think
I'm just talking about the average Vietnamese, not the average Vietnamese.
Yeah, not for esports, yeah.
No, just the average Vietnamese.
I think that's massive, yeah.
So the average Vietnamese earns only less than $300 per month, or let's say 4,000 per year. So these guys, if they win, the $20,000 is literally more than 15 times your salary of a year, the average salary. If you can calculate in your country, winning 15 times the average year salary, that's a huge prize. That's a huge
That's
prize.
sick. Yeah.
So very excited for these players
Mhm.
to bring it. I will definitely tune in and see the Age of Empires 1 gameplay.
Yeah, for me for sure. Age of Empires 1 was the game, my first actual proper video game, which introduced me to Age of Empires. And I think before, like just in my youth, I went back to Age of Empires 1 far more than I did to Age of Empires 2.
It's going to be interesting to go in blind and see what kind of strategies those top Elo players
Yeah,
are.
just to see what's actually going on, because I played the Definitive Edition, but it's like a very dead community. Apparently, you need to be in Vietnam if you still want to play the game. So,
well,
yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, you can consider it at some point.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think that's the end of the podcast. Do you have any other shout outs to do?
Maybe just in short, like Age of Empires 4 will also be big, but I think you haven't watched any tournament yet in Age of Empires 4?
No, I've maybe watched Golden League a little bit, but not really.
Yeah, I've played it when it came out, and like I think I will look at a bit of it out of interest. Also, a few players. I think Viper plays in both 4 and 2, but his focus will be on 2.
Interesting.
Yeah, if people are interested, it will also be Age of Empires 4, but let's keep our Discord and our podcast mainly focused on Age of Empires 2.
Yes. Well, that might affect your winner pick. If the Viper's playing both in 2 tournaments at the same time, exhaustion could be a factor. Have you considered that?
Yeah, but I've heard him speak about it, and actually he just played Age of Empires 4 enough to qualify, and now he started picking it back up a bit, but his main focus and his training is all Age of Empires 2. I think just by qualifying, he gets paid for Age of Empires. So actually, it might not be the most sportsmanly thing to say. I think just qualifying already gives him a paycheck, and that's enough for him. And I don't think he will care too much.
And who can blame him, no?
Yeah. And still, it's a Viper, so without preparation or with exhaustion, he is still very good. I would hope that he doesn't jeopardize his Age of Empires 2 play for 4.
Well, everything is to be seen. Well, to all our listeners, if there's any feedback you want to give on the episode, feel free to do so. And let us know what you want us to discuss next. We might do a recap of the Wololo tournament in our next episode, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And see which of our predictions actually came true. I want to thank you all for listening and taking the time out of your day to spend with us. And Pen, thank you for joining us as well with the discussion.
You're very welcome.
Okay, then here we let you go. Bye, listeners.
Bye.